Okay, so for 3 straight days at the Madlanga Commission, one of the country's top cops, Major General Senona, was in the hot seat. And his testimony? Well, it was a wild ride. We're talking about a very questionable friendship, a really catastrophic security failure, and a secret police file that could pretty much unravel everything. Let's get into it.
So what's all the fuss about? Well, it really boils down to one single, explosive piece of evidence. So what exactly is this document that's got everyone talking? We are talking about a massive, and I mean massive, data leak. 220 pages. Just think about that. This isn't a file that was just misplaced. It was deliberately sent by a top general to a regular citizen. The sheer size of this thing is just staggering. So this thing, it has an official name, Exhibit Sen 2. It's a police dossier and it is packed with super sensitive stuff. Case details, and the personal info, including ID numbers of 6 police officers. Now here's the kicker. The guy who sent it, General Senona, is the head of the Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal. And who did he send it to? His buddy, Vusimusi Matlala, a man who just so happened to be in a huge contract dispute with the police service.
So how does the general explain this? Well, he seemed pretty abrupt and impatient with the commission, and he claimed he was just forwarding something he found online, in the public domain. He swore he hadn't even read the whole thing. He denied knowing his friend was being investigated at all. But, yeah, that story started to get some holes poked in it pretty quickly.
Right, so you have to wonder, why? Why would a top general send a sensitive police file to a civilian? To get that, we really have to unpack their relationship. And as the testimony showed, let's just say it was a lot more complicated than a casual friendship.
This is where things get really interesting. On one hand, General Senona describes his relationship with Matlala as purely social. He calls him a friend, even a younger brother. But then you look at the evidence, and it just doesn't add up. I mean, do you share 220-page police files with your purely social friends? Do you tell them to take on your own employer, the South African Police Service? And this brings us to a really crucial part of the general's testimony. He claims that as soon as he heard some, let's say, disturbing things about Matlala, he started to pull away. The thing is, the digital trail tells a completely different story. Let's just walk through the timeline, because it says a lot. On March 5th, the general reads this article and says it made him wary, so he started to move away gradually. Okay, but then, just over a month later, what's he doing? He's right there with Matlala in a meeting about his disputed police contract. And then, 2 months after he supposedly started distancing himself, he sends a very, very clear message of support.
And this message, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? Take them on, brother? That is not the message of someone who is gradually moving away. No way. That's the message of an ally who is cheering on his friend in a fight against the very organization the general is supposed to be serving. So you can imagine what happened when he was pressed on all these contradictions. When asked about sending other police info, about weird text messages, about taking screenshots of calls to other generals, a pattern started to emerge. Suddenly, his memory got a little fuzzy. The commission just kept hearing, "I don't recall," or "I do not have the best recollection," over and over again.
But wait, there's more. As if the dodgy friendship and the leaked file weren't enough, the commission also dug into a totally shocking case of professional failure that happened right under the general's command, the theft of a massive amount of cocaine.
First, let's just get our heads around this number. We are not talking about a small bag of evidence here. We are talking about 541 kilograms of cocaine. Basically half a ton of crucial evidence for a major drug case, just gone. Vanished from a Hawks facility.
And what's that worth on the street? A cool 200 million rand. That's a massive blow to law enforcement, and it all happened in a facility that the general himself had personally approved.
So, you're probably asking, how on earth does that happen? Well, it's basically a checklist of what not to do. The place in Port Shepstone had a history of break-ins, no CCTV, no beam sensors. The alarm service? Oh, that had been canceled months ago because nobody paid the bill, a little fact the general admitted he didn't even know about. And maybe the most shocking part? No permanent guards were posted there to protect $200 million worth of evidence.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. An internal police report was just scathing. It called out the glaring security breaches and basically questioned why on earth anyone would think that facility was a safe place to store anything, let alone high-value drugs. And remember, General Senona signed off on it.
Okay,
So let's put all the pieces together. You have a leaked dossier, a compromised relationship, and a catastrophic theft of evidence. What does all of this mean? Well, the implications for our justice system and, really, for the safety of every citizen are pretty troubling.
It shows a really clear breakdown of protocol, right from the top. It starts with a relationship that totally blurs the lines between what's personal and what's professional. That leads to a giant leak of sensitive data. And it's all happening while there's a command failure that results in the loss of critical evidence.
So here's the bottom line. What this testimony shows is a police service where official secrets are compromised. When a senior officer is putting a personal relationship ahead of protecting police information and evidence, you have to question their integrity, their basic competence, and it puts the entire system at risk.
And all of that leaves us with one final, pretty sobering question. The police motto is to serve and protect. But when its own leaders are leaking secrets and losing evidence on this kind of scale, you really have to ask, who is truly being served and who is being protected?